Tonight, or today, depending on when you watch this video, we come to the conclusion of the hybrid discography series of reviews, ending things off with the most recent release by the band, the album Angst. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start with what I generally start with virtually all of my reviews of new albums. A track-by-track analysis where I basically fill you in on details about the song, so if you're interested, you can, look up certain songs with the descriptions musically of which sound appealing to you. Or, if you don't like spoilers and you're like me and don't like spoilers on how an album's going to sound, you can click this right here and just skip to me talking about the album in general. But let's go right ahead. Track 1, Flesh Fusion Threshold. How many times have I had to say that albums just start out great when they just get right into it, get right into the action, get right into the metal, punching you in your fucking face? Probably too many, but guess what? That's what happens here. Flesh Fusion Threshold starts with a little drum roll from Choose Hystra, then goes just right into this gargantuan riff and these extremely high-pitched screams from their new vocalist, I forget his name, from Alex Martin. So, basically, hybrid show here that they've pretty much not lost their touch at all from the last record. They're still insanely brutal and insanely heavy and insanely willing to, experiment and put really cool textures and timbres in their songs. For this particular song, you've got, amidst all the super heavy, changes in time signature, huge Gojira-like riffs, grinding drums. You've got a couple really, really jazz fusion-y breaks throughout this song, one of which really ends the song quite nicely, and almost sounds like the stuff Alan Holdsworth does with his music. But there's also a solo in here that's just, oh man, it's really reminiscent of early Morbid Angel, and that's just great when Hybrid put in some really intense lead work in their sound. It really adds to the intensity. But that is actually the only guitar solo that is on this record. But fear not, there are more leads to come on this record, and oh man, do they add something special. Now, Flesh Fusion Threshold goes right into the second track, which is Enter the Void. Oh man, this is a song that, well, first of all, Flesh Fusion Threshold was actually released a little over a year ago as sort of a teaser for the album. But Enter the Void was actually played live by the band without vocals, because for a long period of time they didn't have a vocalist in Spain, and it was recorded, and that is what really got me excited for this album. Even though the quality of the live recording was terrible and you couldn't really hear the guitars, just hearing this in studio quality for the first time was just such an amazing experience. It starts out with this very chaosphere kind of groove in the guitars and drums, and then that evolves into this just lyrically and just musically great passage where the vocals are screaming, "Nobody cares about you, nobody cares about nothing or no one," and then just the music and the lyrics fit together so well on this album. But after that point, the song sort of explodes and just goes into this insanely brutal, heavy, fast as fuck riff, blast beat laden as hell, that's, if you can't headbang the moment this passage of the song starts, there's something wrong with you. It is it forces you to headbang. It's absolutely fucking insane. And then the song continues with the lyrical style that human beings are extremely self-centered and only care for themselves, have no compassion for other people, and existence is essentially worthless. And the music continues with its absolute intensity to reflect all of these feelings and these thoughts. It's a perfect parallel. But then at the very end of the song, something happens that I honestly never thought Hybrid would ever do, but it works so beautifully and so perfectly. And it honestly adds a little glimmer of hope at the end of the track, or towards it rather, to the whole very pessimistic view on the world, which honestly I can completely relate to. This world is kind of a piece of total and utter shit, but there is a glimmer of hope in like this very melodic, clean vocal included passage. Yeah, Hybrid including actual singing. The bass player on this album, Oscar Martin, does some just absolutely gorgeous singing. He has an amazingly beautiful voice on this album, and it just really, it's one of the things that makes this song for me. This song is a fucking masterpiece. And it goes into another masterpiece that's even more intense. One of the things that this album will do is just throughout it in general, there's a sense that each track is a little bit more intense than the last. And that's certainly true here with Collapse to None, which is actually based on a character from a movie, if I remember right. Probably gonna like look it up, or I'll just put an annotation here. Like, it's based on the main character of this movie, which is really cool, and it brings back something that I really loved about the EP that wasn't as present on their previous concept album, in that it uses quotes from the movie to start and end the track, which is really cool and really sets the tone for what the track's gonna do. Now, towards the middle of this track, there is a part where Hybrid do that thing that they occasionally like to do, which is incorporate something that you would not expect in this style of music. There is a clarinet solo in this song. Not like a saxophone solo, not anything that you could think has ever really been used in metal before. No, just a clarinet solo. But let me tell you right now, the transition into and out of this solo is flawless musically, in my opinion. It's just fucking amazing. Like, and especially the transition out of it. It's probably one of my absolute favorite moments on this record. I think I talked about in my 8th Plague review, there's this part where Chus does these amazing drum parts in the middle of 100 Years Ocean, which is the first song on the previous album. In this song, he does that same sort of thing, these insane grooves between the hi-hat cymbal and the ride cymbal, which to me, just as a listener, I love when bands do that. Probably, no, not just probably, my favorite album, period, Zerath's sophomore release, which is just called 2, that's everywhere in the drumming on that album, and I love it. And just, there's this tapping riff that goes over it in this song. It's just, it's ear sex. Absolute, utter ear sex. And this song just builds and builds in its intensity, and there's some lead riffs towards the end of this song, like just the lead guitar going completely fucking nuts, and oh man, it's just great. But then it goes into Self-Implosion, which starts out with this drawn-out didgeridoo note, and then the song fucking explodes and goes back into the amazing, like, just psycho-heavy, psycho-fast. It's even faster and more intense and more, oh my god, yes, than Collapse to None is. It's just like the record keeps getting better and better in a way as you go along. And in Self-Implosion, there's this part where everything drops out and the guitars, like, switch ears, they pan. And then it goes into this really groovy, almost August Burns Red, like, sort of breakdown section. There's more clean vocals on this track, too, like there were on Enter the Void. The clean vocals actually appear on Enter the Void, Self-Implosion, and Angst-Ridden Inertia. So, sort of every other track on the album, basically. But, oh man, like I said, there's a lead riff in Collapse to None that's insane. There's one towards the end of this song that is fucking mind-blowingly intense. It is just amazing. But yeah, like I said, the intensity of the songs on this record really just build and build and build. Well, they sort of stop building right after the end of Self-Implosion, which actually flows into the next track, which... contender for Song of the Year already. Easily my favorite track on the album, Cuando el Destino nos alcance. Oh my god. Holy shit. It starts out really, with these just, like, really dissonant chords, but then as it gets towards about the minute mark in, it suddenly just becomes melodic and just stays in this vibrant, lush, orgasmic melodicness all the way through. And the clarinet comes back in this song. There's some clarinet like played at that minute mark, and it's just so smooth and sexy, and it really sets the tone for how beautiful this song is just going to keep building on itself. And really chordally and melodically, the stuff here kind of reminds me a bit of what Paul Wagner and the guys are able to do with Between the Buried and Me. Like, some of the chords I feel like on this, like, could have fit somewhere on The Great Misdirect or Parallax 2. That's really the vibe I'm getting from this, and that's amazing because I think Between the Buried and Me are an amazing band as well. Although not as good as Hybrid. If you ask me, Hybrid, in a way, with there just not being any boundaries with the music at all, they're sort of like the Between the Buried and Me of this extreme metal style. But yeah, Cuando el Destino, oh my god, yes. But then that flows into the next song, which, if there is any song to just represent ultimate pain and suffering, that is what this is. And oh my god. This one, I think, had to grow on me a little bit, but it's to the point where all the songs on this album, I can't really pick a favorite one besides Cuando el Destino, because they're all fucking amazing, and this is no exception. Just the way the lyrics in this song perfectly parallel how painful and just, like, you can tell from the lyrics that Chus was, like, who writes all their lyrics, their drummer, was in just, like, this extreme amount of, like, pain and desolation when he wrote this, and you feel that. The music and the vocals translate that into your body, and it is just, it's an unbelievably intense experience. Like, the record keeps getting more and more intense from Flesh Fusion up until Self-Implosion, then Cuando el Destino happens. But then when you get to Angst-ridden Inertia, you get a different kind of intensity. It's not the intensity of just, like, bang your head around just because the music's so fucking fast and whatever. It's emotional intensity. And I'd almost say it's like 1,000,000,000,000 times as intense as anything else on the record. This song, just the line that sticks out to me the most is when the blasts are just going psycho fast, and these psychotically dissonant chords. It's probably the most intense part of the record is the line when it's screamed, "Distance freezes me to death." That just fucking tugs at my heart and pulls it out of my body with how insanely, gargantuanly powerful it is in this whole song. And then you really feel the angst after that, because there's this another movie quote, I think, that happens after that with these really erratic guitar patterns. It just gives you this insane sense of just pure angst, pure anxiety, pure, oh, what the fuck? But after you've listened to it, you loved it, and you want to go back and listen to it again. This song is a hell of an experience, and so is the next one. It's even more like of an experience than anything else on the record. It's incredibly immersive. Doomed to Failure is a song that's incredibly slow and just doomy, but not in the same way that the Doom songs that closed off their first two records are. With this song, you just get this sense of total immersion from just the droning guitar chords, and the lyrics are a lot more clear in this one. They're not done by Alex, they're done by Choose himself and someone else, I think. Oh, Oscar does some of the harshes on that too. But like, just there's this part where it stops being doom metal at about 2 minutes in, and you hear this wee sound, and then the other guitarist on this album besides Ivan Duran, Antonio Sanchez, he plays sitar, like these sitar improvisations that are just like, it's such like a meditative, immersive kind of sound that you get from this. It's just incredibly immersive. Like, it's undescribable. You have to go listen to it. I'm going to link this down below. So you can go listen to the album and decide for yourself. But then after that ends, there's like a guitar passage combined with a piano part, combined with spoken, or rather whispered Latin lyrics, and then the album fades out from that. Album as a whole, I guess I could start with the production of this album. It is extremely clear compared to the Eighth Plague, but at the same time, it's not quite as raw. And if there's any little itty bitty things that I could gripe about this album, that's one of them, because I really loved the raw sound of the Eighth Plague, and this is a lot more pristine. You can even hear the bass a lot of the times. But there was actually a fretless bass on this album, so I was hoping I could hear a lot of the slides, and this is just another nitpicky detail, mind you. This is not going to lower the score for the album at all for me. But just there's like the only slide you can really hear is in the song "Enter the Void" towards the end. But just all the instrumentations come through really, really clear. And the band sounds even more tight-knit than they ever have before. This is incredibly complex music. But at the same time, I feel like this album is a bit more contained. It's like the perfect balance. Hybrid have struck the perfect balance of controlled chaos and completely out of control chaos here. That sounds like a complete and utter paradox, but it's really true. And all of the members here don't just bring great things to the table. Every single person involved in this album has brought is just beyond amazing. The lyrics are beyond amazing. The way the vocals are just presented in this insanely like emotion driving and just absolute definition of intensity. Just the way the vocals are delivered are amazing. The guitar tone, the super low. This album sounds even more down-tuned than the Eighth Plague. From what I can tell, I tried to tell what tuning it's in. It seems like it's in drop A, but I might not be right about that for most of the record. It's hard for me to go on. I could go on about this record probably for an hour, especially if I was in a more focused state of mind. It's late. Blasting this album just kind of puts you in this state of amazingness where you're like, duh, I can't even think, because it's that good. This album is a perfect extreme metal masterpiece. This album is a 10 out of 10. Oh my god. Just click the link down below. Even if you felt like I was like rambling for 19-20 minutes more than I usually do, just click the link down below. Try it for yourself. If you like it, please buy it. Tell all your friends who you might think like this band. Tell them about this band. Tell them to check out hybridnoise.com and try this record out. It is amazing, and it is worthy of your attention and praise, or any criticism, just anything. It's worthy at least of your attention. 10 out of 10. Oh my god. Bye.